Old man Woody likes the crooked cock.
6 cubits wide, and I looked that up. That's like 90 feet high and 9 feet wide. Like a cubit is apparently like 1.5 feet.
Okay.
So this is a lot of gold. It's a real flex on the rest of the world. And so he builds this, and he's so stoked on it that he invites all of his, I don't remember all the words, I read them down, all of his officials from the kingdom, governors, senators, satraps, I assume some kind of mayor, judges, treasurers, everybody from every corner of the Babylonian kingdom, all the high-ranking, hullabaloo people show up. And they're like, you're right, King Nebuchadnezzar, this is really cool. And he's like, it doesn't stop here, guys. Anytime you hear music from, and I'll read this list, I'll just read what the town crier said. Nation and people of every language, this is what you are commanded to do. As soon as you hear the sound of the horn, flute, zither, lyre, harp, pipe, and all kinds of music, you must fall down and worship the image of the gold king Nebuchadnezzar. And so, first of all, pretty sure a lot of those instruments are made up. And so he sends all the governors and everybody back. They relay that same message. And Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, they weren't just like 3 random Jews walking around the street in like shitty ass sandals. They had like not the overruling part of a province, but they were like a couple levels down. They still had nice houses, nice shit. Like they weren't in poverty or anything. And pretty much immediately, as soon as this town crier said that, he added an addendum, which Nebuchadnezzar also instructed, where he's like, and make sure they also know anybody who doesn't bow down as soon as all these made-up instruments start going, they're going to be brought back to me, they're going to be brought in front of me, and I'm going to burn them alive in a really cool big furnace I also made. And believe it or not, that was compelling to most people. That got them on board. And so as soon as they heard the zither and the lyre, boom, right down, like almost like Mecca. They're like, even if you can't see it from whatever province they're in, they're like, I'm not risking some ancient cop finding me and ratting me out. I'm aiming right there and praying to Nebuchadnezzar. Right. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego say, fuck you. They don't say, fuck you. They say, no thanks. No, thank you. Their overseer goes to King Nebuchadnezzar, goes, hey, Neb. Neb goes, don't call me that. He goes, I understand. He goes, King Nebuchadnezzar, these 3 Jews, they're not bowing down. Did you tell him about the furnace thing? Yes, I led with the furnace thing. Yes, of course I told you. Of course I led with it, you brilliant king. And so Nebuchadnezzar is like, okay, well, bring them to me. Bring them to me. As far as I can tell, they're doing a good job on paper, but if they're not going to do what I want, bring them here. So he brings them there, and he tells them, hey, and King Nebuchadnezzar is like in the opposite situation of like a rock and a hard place. He's between like tits and ass. No matter which way he goes, it's positive. If they show up and they say, I'm not bowing down, he gets a handful of tit, so to speak, where he gets to throw them in the furnace, burn them alive, and ensure that everybody's like, yeah, that bitch is not playing. He will burn you alive, bow. Or if they do what he wanted them to do, nice handful of ass, and they bow down, it's a little ego stroke where he's like, yeah, all it really took was them seeing me in my glory for them to bow down and do it.
All right.
And so they show up. He says, bow down or you're going in the furnace. No other options. They say, I will not bow down. No, I'm not bowing down. No, that's not my God. I'm not bowing down to your false idol or whatever the fuck. And he goes like probably a little like kind of like happy about it. Like, okay, time to break in the furnace. But he tells his furnace guy first, he goes, turn it up 7 times as hot as normal. And in my head, I'm thinking like Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego at this time were kind of relieved where they're like, oh, he said 7. 7's one of those numbers that works out well. God, if he had said turn it up twice as hot, I would have shit myself. But 7, we should be okay. Thank God. And so Nebuchadnezzar, well, 7 is a biblical number. Like, yeah, it's all
throughout. You see it a lot.
Oh, you're talking to me, you know I know that.
Yeah. Things happen in 7s all the time in the Old Testament and in the New. And so Nebuchadnezzar wasn't just content with normal soldiers tying him up because he's brought some of his governors and satraps and people to see this whole thing. because he thinks it's cool. It is cool. And he brings out his most burly, ripped soldiers to tie up Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. And then he tells them, throw them in the fire. And he says that the fires were so hot that when they went to open the furnace to throw the 3 Jews in, that the men throwing them in themselves died. And so he wasted a bunch of juicy man muscle just in trying to get his point across, which I wouldn't have done. I would have used worthless soldiers, but what do I know? I'm no Neb. And so he throws them in there, and he's sitting on his cool gold throne, the extra gold that was left over from the statue, just kind of watching. And I guess there's a fucking window in this furnace that you can kind of see what's going on. And so after a couple minutes, he's like, what? I see. How many Jews do we? Shadrach, Meshach, Abednego. Was there another one? They got goofy ass names. Was there? There's 4 people standing in there right now. Well, don't take them out yet, because even if it is their god, maybe he'll run out of magic, and they'll eventually burn. You know, like maybe he can only stave off the flames for so long. So he leaves them in there a couple more minutes to simmer. Becomes clear God's not going to run out of magic, and so he goes, "Take those guys out of there. Take them out of there." And so he opens up the furnace. The three, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego come out totally unscathed. It says they don't even smell of fire.
Are they naked?
Don't even smell like they've been there. No, their clothes were fine too. And so they all come out, and all the governors, the satraps, everybody's there. They're looking. And so King Nebuchadnezzar has to pull a World War II Italy, where they switch sides and pretend they've been on that side the entire time. And so he goes, wow, your guys' God is really cool. I'm on board. You guys don't have to worship this statue. Everyone, we are keeping the statue. It looks awesome. We don't have to pray to it, but you're not getting, we're not getting rid of it. That's fine. You go in the furnace. You're not protected by their God. We're keeping the statue. Does anyone not want to keep the statue? We're keeping the fucking statue. And so he keeps the statue. And then also he's talking to Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego and being like, wow, your God's like legit real. My gold statue didn't do anything but shine brightly. And so he asks them about their God. They kind of have a little back and forth. And then because King Nebuchadnezzar still has to appear hardcore, he goes, all right, we're all following the Jewish God now. And anyone in my kingdom who questions the Jewish God, I will have you and your family cut to pieces and your homes razed to the ground. And everybody's like, 40 minutes ago, we were talking about the statue. And so everybody unanimously is like, yeah, whatever you say, dude, we're all on board with the Jewish God. I don't want to get cut to pieces. And then to end it all, he gives Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego a raise and a promotion.
Ooh.
So what did we learn?
Hopefully we're fireproof.
I was hoping for insight because I didn't learn anything. Nothing at all. At all.
It's a little similar to David in the lion pit, you know? I feel like they just recycled that one at some point.
You know, they probably did.
If you think about it, they're like identical stories, right? Except you got lions instead of fire.
You think that like one scribe or whatever prophet back in the day was writing that, and his scribe's like, oh, this is very similar. I'm British. This is very similar to David and the Lion's Den. He's like, no, it's not. No, it's not. Name 10 similarities.
I like to think the teacher handed out a project, and she's like, no group projects.
Yes.
Did you guys work together on yours?
Mine's got lions.
Mine's got a cool statue and a king, Nebuchadnezzar.
We should run both through one of those like plagiarism checkers they use in colleges now.
Yeah,
see if anyone
gets
busted.
That would be funny. If it's like Jeremiah ripped all of his shit from like Leviticus.
It's like that year that the two Deep Impact and Armageddon came out the same year.
Yeah,
you're like, wait a fuck, what? What? Well, in ours, the asteroid hits. All right.
What I've learned the most is the more like I read these Old Testament stories, and like I've got a couple more stories outlined for the future. I just like doing them in our Just Us Girls chats.
Mm-hmm.
Is I'm not learning anything. I'm not learning any morals, any sort of compass for my life for most of these stories.
Really?
It's really just
pretty,
like,
come on, you get it though, right? You do get it.
I get that you're supposed to praise this God.
No, it's about faith under fire, literally.
Yeah, but that's
it's trusting
funny.
God no matter what. And
in
God
real life,
will
that doesn't work at all.
And you become a martyr.
Lots of people get cancer and they pray to God and they believe just as much as these fucks.
Well, that was part of God's plan.
Yeah, that's a convenient out.
That's the truth. Question it and you could burn too.
I just feel like if I had put my faith in God instead of my reserve parachute 2 months ago, this show would be down one host.
Yeah, dude, if the afterlife is real...
And that would have been God's plan.
If the afterlife is real,
praise his name.
Fucking St. Peter next to the pearly gates is going to pull up one of the many YouTube compilations you listeners have made of my Bible stories, and I'm going straight to hell. So thanks for that. Thanks for that. But it's not real, so don't worry about it.
That's the lesson.
I'm like 99% sure.
Yeah. If it is,
are you 100%? Or because I'm only like 99%.
No, I would say I'm like high 90s%. But if I die and it turns out it's real, poof, I am not going to be pleased.
Me either. And if you think about it, you wouldn't risk like how do the seatbelts work in your car? It says high 90s. 93, 94% of the time they work. Not really. Doesn't that concern you? Like, aren't you always worried about it every time you get behind the wheel? No,
not really. I mean, that like they taught us that in school as like an argument to believe in God. It was called Pascal's wager. And it was, if you believe in God and it doesn't exist, you haven't lost anything. If you believe in God and he does exist, you go to heaven. If you don't believe in God and he doesn't exist, nothing happens. If you don't believe in God and he doesn't exist, you go to hell. So it was like, well, mathematically, you should believe in God. And my thought even then was like, he's going to know I'm faking it. Like he's going to know that I'm only doing it out of fear of not going to hell. And like, that's not enough to get into heaven. I don't think so.
Based on what I've read, he seems pretty okay with scaring people into worshiping him.
Yeah, Old Testament God was much more into the fear. Jesus was a little nicer, but Jesus also did, not even mean funny stuff like whip people and when they were like using his, like the Pharisees and Sadducees were using the church as a bartering ground and trading and financial place instead of using it as a worship place. He just goes in there and starts cracking the whip on all these Pharisees and overturning their tables. That was fun.
Yeah,
good for him. I liked that.
Yeah, that was a good scene. I brought that up in my my drug class in prison. I don't remember how. Yeah. The teacher was an absolute moron, and he brought up something like he'd get like really stuck in the mud with the conversations. Like he'd start arguing with us, and we knew how to just like drag him down into the mud, so he didn't get to teach us anything. And something came up. I don't remember where it came from, but he was just like, Jesus would never did anything violent. Jesus was all about peace. And I'm like, what about the time he whipped all those guys? He's like, what are you talking about? The time he went to where the tax collectors were in the temple and he whipped the shit out of those people and turned their tables over. He's like, oh, well, those were Jews. And I went,
you said that?
I think I just won. I looked around. It was just 3 white guys and 8 black guys. And I was like, shit, none of them are here to complain about this. Damn it.
I mean, they were Jews, but they weren't just Jews. They were Pharisees. And Sadducees, like the bad kind of religious people that were just manipulating the Old Testament into making money.
Are you saying also, like, Jews are the bad kind because they make money?
No,
the Pharisees were the bad kind.
Evil.
Yeah.
That's why Jesus was so against them.
I choose to believe you said that.
And also, like he said, Jesus never did anything violent. There's literally in Matthew a verse that says, I bring not peace, but a sword.
Well,
this guy didn't know his fucking Bible.
That was a metaphor.
Not the way I do. Even better than Woody's parents.
If they want to dispute that.
No joke. I think they're in Israel right now.
That is so fucking funny.
They're like, they're getting extra lessons straight from the source right now.
Wait, I would Israel?
Yeah,
so, they go walk around Jerusalem. Does she not know that like people in Israel aren't Christians?
Some are.
I don't understand
Most of them aren't.
why it's so cool. But yeah, that's like their favorite place to vacation now. They go to Israel probably more than once a year. They called me. If they're not in Israel right now, then they just came home.
I wonder, do they have like nice beaches and stuff there? Like they're right on the Mediterranean.
But that's not what they're doing. They're like taking camels and checking out Moses' 40-mile walk or something like that.
Yeah, they do have nice beaches
awful.
though. I've definitely seen them on the. Let me try to find a picture.
Yeah, I mean, it's
I think they have nude
part of the
beaches.
world. Israel does? I figured they'd be
Yeah.
way too conservative for that kind of thing.
I don't know.
I'll just look up Israeli nude beaches. Let's see.
Where can I sunbathe nude in Israel? You go to Masada.
I'm pretty sure like even shit like porn isn't legal in Israel.
There you go, nudist beach at the. Oh, I found a YouTuber.
Nudist
She's
beach at Dead
heading
Sea?
to the nude beach on the Dead Sea in Israel,
The Dead Sea's in
All right.
Israel.
and she's naked.
For some reason, I thought it was in like Eastern Europe or something. Like,
Was this uploaded September 23rd, 2015?
Sure was.
We're on the same video.
You're gonna want to skip on forward to when she gets naked. She blurs everything, but I'm still pleased. She's got some of that Dead Sea mud. She's rubbing it on her face, like war paint.
Oh, she's got a tattoo. Big no-no in Judaism.
Hmm.
Well, and
Well,
Christian
anyway.
too, I guess.
Yeah,
care
definitely
about
nude beaches in Israel. Yeah,
Well, the more you know.
the more you know.
The Dead Sea is somewhere that would be.
I ended on that note. I love the
That was the
wordplay.
best
Very
shit
nice.
I've ever heard.